You're looking to take the seat that Maurice Hinchy had?
No, because it doesn't exist anymore.
What, right?
The 22nd, the New York 22nd District was remade in 2010. And it now reaches from the border of Pennsylvania all the way up to Utica, Rome, actually just a little bit past. It reaches out as far as Herkimer and over to Elmira. The district that was gerrymandered for Mr. Hinchy no longer exists.
Right.
So, and our representative now, Richard Hamm.
Are you
Where I was headed with that is, have you held any political office before?
No one else getting that. but-
So isn't it kind of a big bite to go from 0 to that level of,
Why?
because of connections, because of being able to know the mechanisms, how people, you know, work their magic?
Okay.
The feeling I have is a well-intentioned person,
Mhm.
intelligent, with a lot of energy and intent on making a difference,
Yeah,
gets into that gang of people
right.
and gets lost in that shuffle unless you've got some way to, you know, keep your head above water. And going from 0 to that level, it sounds like a big break.
Well, no, I understand. A lot of people say that. And they say, oh my God, how can you possibly do that?
What
Well, let me address that, because it's a very important issue. It's a very important question. How do you go from being just a regular person to a congressman? First thing, congressmen, members of government, they're regular people. They're not smarter because they're in government. They're not smarter because they were elected. They're not better. They're just regular people. Our incumbent right now, before 2010, never was in politics. He's no different than me. Why should I be able to do it? Because he's already done it. So do many of them. There are differences, and I'll get into that. But the question about the meat grinder, well, that's really a question of what's their intention and purpose in going into Congress. For most people, Congress is a logical move in a career that starts in local government, and that is one of the culminations of that degree. They're just, it's kind of like your job, my job. They get hired, they go up, and then their promotion is going to the next level of government. Except that takes them further and further away from the people. That's not what our government was created for. That's not what Congress is for. That's not what it's supposed to be there for. These are not career positions. Just because they are an incumbent does not mean that they get to stay there forever. But yet, and this is important because everyone realizes this, but no one acts on it. 15% of the population right now in America approve of Congress. 15%.
Proof of what?
Approve of Congress, the acts of Congress, both houses, all of them. 93% of every member of Congress is reelected. The number, if you go back every 4 years, the lowest reelection rate, 90%, 8 years ago. So where's the problem? Why are we reelecting people that we know aren't doing the job? Because they've been there a while? Well, that's fantastic. There are lots of buddies and friends, and they get to powwow with each other, but they're not doing their job. They're missing their obligations.
Because we're lazy, we're not looking at what they do.
I won't blame the public. I think in part, we don't have a lot of people who are willing to stand up. I can tell you directly, there is no fun in running for office. There is no fun. Right now, I have an exploratory committee. And then you have to go through the process of what I'm doing right now. I work a full-time job. I work a full-time and a half job going out, speaking to people right now, raising funds, letting people know the issues and where I stand. That's not easy. Then there's the criticism that comes and will come inevitably. I will be taken on about it. And there is no question that there is the cost of everything. Having to ask everybody and anybody, will you give me $1? Because that's politics. And right now, you need to advertise. And that's true from the local level all the way up. So it's a difficult process. But does any of that process make them better? Does anything that they are doing right now justify the fact that 93%, it is almost easier to die in office than be elected out of office. And yet, everyone in the nation, overwhelmingly, you can't get 8 out of 10 people to agree almost anything. Well, they will all agree that Congress is just horrible and not doing its job. Why are we re-electing people who are not doing their job and paying 5 times what we make? Does that make sense? Would you do that for a garbage man? Would you do that for a waiter at a restaurant? Name anything else you would pay someone 5 times what you would normally pay to yourself and say, well, wait a minute, they do a horrible job, but you know what, I'm going to keep coming back and I'm going to keep giving them that money. No business in the world can run like that. No individual would ever do that. So the question is not whether or not it's possible to run. It is. It's not a question of, is there a reason to run? And it's also not a question of, was this the intention of our government? It was intended to not be permanent. It was intended that to avoid the abuses of power and to remain connected to the people, we would regularly change and transition our power, and that the voices of the people will be able to be heard on a regular basis by regular people stepping in.